Is there really anything more you need in life than editing photos on an iPad Pro in the forest while drinking liquid death? I don't think so. So today we're making a video about editing photos only from the Telecamera in the Mavic 3. Now, DJI has come out with some great new updates that make the camera pretty good. I've tested out the video quality. It's pretty solid, but I thought let's make a video and test out the photo quality now that we have all these updates and everything. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be editing photos on the iPad Pro in Lightroom here in the forest because we can. So let's dive into some of the editing here. All right, so this is our first photo. Now the equivalent of this tele lens, as we can see here, is 161 millimeters. It is a fixed aperture of f4.4. Size of the file is 25.1 megabytes. This is a RAW file, so the way I like to do things, I kind of like to start with auto. I know I might get some flack for that, but I just want to see what auto does. Instantly, it's already looking a little bit better. So let's go down here to light. I like to pump up the contrast quite a bit. Let's see, what else do we have here? Yeah, let's bring up this graph, really brighten up the sky there a little bit. Now let's go down here to our color. I think I want to warm it up just a little bit, not too much. And let's go down here to our color mixing. Now I'm going to go to the blues. It's a little too blue for me, so let's bring the blues down a bit. What's the luminance do? So you can see if we get really dark with the blue, we get a little bit of noise in the sky, but overall that's actually not too bad. Is there any orange in the image? A little bit. Unfortunately, it's been pretty hazy here in LA, just with all the pollution and everything, so I was hoping to get a really gorgeous sunset, but I mean, let's face it, anyone can make golden hour look really beautiful. The challenge is, can we make this photo, not during blue hour, look really nice? So let's pump up the clarity here. Let's see. That's not bad. What's our texture do? I think I kind of want to go a little bit softer on the texture. So this is what we started with. This is what we're at so far. What does dehazing get us? It darkens it. That's not bad. Maybe it's a little dark. Let's bring that down. Give it a little bit of a vignette. Oh, that's not bad. Okay, so the next thing I like to do is I like to bring down some of the texture in the sky just because there seems to be a little bit of noise there. So we're just going to go ahead and select the sky here. All right, did a pretty good job. Let's go to our effects, and I'll zoom in here a little bit just so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So I'm going to bring the texture down, and it's kind of getting rid of some of that noise in the sky, right? Just to kind of soften the image a bit. I might even bring the clarity down a little bit too. Yeah, that's looking pretty solid. I'm going to hit done. So this is what we started with. That's what we have. That's not bad. Let's zoom in here. Let's do some pixel peeping. Overall, the image is a little soft, but for Instagram or wherever else, I don't know if I would ever print these, but for Instagram, that's definitely postable. So there's where we started. That's where we are. All right, so let's go on to our next image here. So we have the Pacific Park Pier. Let's see our file size here. So we're at 25.5 megabytes, which is pretty solid for a RAW file here out of the Mavic 3. Just the tele zoom. All right, let's see what auto does. Instantly, that's looking pretty good. It's looking a little blue. Maybe I want to warm it up a little bit. So let's go to our light here. Rather, let's go to our color here. So instantly I want to warm this image up a little bit. Yeah, maybe something like that. Just very subtle edits. That's not bad. All right, color mixing. I think I want to bring, let's see, what's green in this image? I think I kind of want to I'm going to kind of saturate everything just to kind of see what we can do with it. What's yellow? So that all is yellow. Bring up the saturation on that. Do we have any orange in here? Got a little bit of orange. Yeah. Blues. Let's bring the blue down just to give the image an overall warmer look. I think I want to pump up the contrast a little bit. Something like there. Let's see. Bring down the shadows a little bit more, just to get some of that drama back in the image. Alright, so into our color grading now. This is going to let me just change the overall colors of a specific part of the image, for instance the shadows. So I like to give, maybe we'll go with the classic teal and orange look. So let's get that maybe right about there. Pump that up a little bit. Let's go to our highlights and give it that nice orange look. It's not bad. I think overall, this is what we started with, this is what we have so far. I think it's looking a little dark, so I'm going to bring the exposure up just a bit. Now let's zoom in, let's see the detail here. So that's not bad. You can read the Pacific Park, you can see all the people here. I haven't upped the texture or clarity yet, so let's do that a little bit. So let's see what this does. So let's zoom in here. So here's no texture. I think like maybe right about there. Bring our clarity up, just kind of cut through some of that haze here in LA. That's not bad. So that's what we started with, that's what we have so far. Now I think I want to add some specific masking, so I'm going to go to my linear gradient and just kind of really draw attention to the pier here by darkening up this part of the image here. Yeah, so that's what we started with. That's what we have. That's not bad. Just subtle edits. I'm tired of making photos that are just all for Instagram. I just want to edit a little bit. So this is pretty impressive. So this is, how many images was this? It was like 30 images. So also did an HDR. This is just with the Telecamera. Let's zoom in here. I mean, look at that detail. That's actually pretty damn impressive. You can see all the people on the pier there. Like that's pretty good. Let's edit this a little bit. I don't think there's too much I'm going to really do here. Let's pump up the contrast. It's looking a little dark, so we'll bring that up. Let's bring up our maybe classic S curve here. This is a pretty big file, so I'm not surprised it took a second to render. Okay, color. It's a little blue, just because, you know, it was a very blue day with all the haze and the cover, so we're going to warm it up. Go down here to our color mixing, and I think I'm going to go over here to the blues. Do I want to make it teal? Maybe a little bit towards the teal, and then bring it down a little bit, and darken the luminance here. Yeah, that's not bad. That's what we started with. This is what we have so far. It did a great job rendering these photos, considering the waves are always moving too. Like that's pretty dang impressive. Let's give it a little bit of depth. So we're going to go over here to our masking. I'm going to do a linear gradient and just bring this up just a little bit. And then we'll go over here to our light and bring the light down a bit. Yeah. So this is what we had. This is where we are right now. Overall, I think I'm pretty happy with that. The one last thing I might do, just because I like to make my images really punchy, really textury, really sharp. So let's go over here. We're going to increase our texture here. Yeah, that's not bad. And let's see what our clarity does. Nice. Now there is a little bit of grain in the sky. Overall, not bad though. So I think I'm going to go over here to our masking one more time. And we're going to do select sky. Might take a moment because it's a pretty big pano. That's really impressive. This isn't even in the M1 iPad Pro. This is the one before that. And it still is detecting that sky that quickly. So let's go over here to our effects. And we'll zoom in here just so we can see what we're doing. We'll bring the texture down. Yeah, nice. So now we have a little bit of a softer sky. That helps get rid of some of the noise in the sky too. Maybe bring down the clarity. Nice. So that's what we had. This is where we are. I'm actually really happy with that. Again, this was taken only with the Telecamera on the Mavic 3, which is a 12 megapixel camera with a fixed aperture of f4.4. This is great. This is great. This I might print. I think this would be worth printing. Let's see what our file size here is. 108 megabytes. So it's about 30 images raw, 108 megabytes. And the ISO is at 200. I'm not even at the lowest ISO here. So the fact that there's not that much grain in it, like, they really increased the camera quality on this. All right, so the next series of images are pretty much all the same, but what I wanted to do was really kind of see what the ISO was like. So our first image here, let's see our info. So this is at ISO 100. Looks great. We got the people on the roller coaster there. That looks fantastic. So this is the JPEG version of that as well. I did do some RAWs and JPEGs just to kind of see the difference. JPEG obviously is a lot sharper, has more clarity and sharpness, but you can easily fix that in post. Now this is our next image. This is at ISO 400. So as you can see, we're getting a little bit of grain there, but overall still a usable image. Then we took it up to ISO 1600. Overall, like, that's still not bad. You could do some editing. Well, let's just see. So let's go here. We'll do auto, and we'll go down here to effects. Where's the detail? So we'll go down here to detail, and we'll just bring up the noise reduction. Let's see what that does. Wow, it did a really good job, actually. The photo is a little soft for my taste. I mean, you could just up the detail and maybe bring up the texture and the clarity a bit. So now we're already looking pretty good. But for ISO 1600, let's see. Let's bring it up here. So this is what we have. That's what we started with. Just some noise reduction and sharpness and clarity. I mean, you could see the people hanging out up here in the little gondolas. Okay, so that was ISO 1600. Next one, I believe I pushed it all the way up to 3200. This is pretty grainy at this point. And then here we are at 6400. That's pretty grainy. I mean, on an iPad screen it looks good, but if you put that on a bigger screen, it's not going to look as nice. All right, so our next image here. Now, I purposefully overexposed this just because I wanted to see what we can pull back from this camera. So let's just hit auto and see what happens. Okay, not much. So let's go to our light, and we'll bring down our highlights here and bring down our whites. And it looks like the whites are the trick. And then we can bring up the exposure a little bit. So this is what we started with. This is what we have so far. We're getting some detail back into the clouds. Let's see what else I can do to this image. So I think I'll go down here to effects. What does texture and clarity do? That's pretty impressive considering I was probably like, realistically, 2 or 3 stops overexposed. That's pretty nice. I was still able to pull all that stuff back from the clouds. Let's add some dehaze there. That's not bad. Now there's a lot of blue there, so let's warm it up quite a bit. Maybe not that much. Maybe like right there. Go down to our color mixing. Go to our blues. Bring down the saturation in the blues. This is what we started with. That's what we have. That's pretty impressive. There's a lot of noise and kind of that pixely detail if you really pixel peep and zoom in, but the fact that we started with this, which is pretty overexposed, and we were able to get to that, that's pretty impressive. So then I also went a step further and I purposefully underexposed this image. So let's hit auto and see what this will do for us. So not much. Let's go to our light, bring up our blacks, bring up the exposure, bring up the contrast. So this is the Pacific Coast Highway in Malibu. I was hoping to get some golden hour, but that's fine. Alright, so this is what we started with. This is what we have so far. So that's all that I have for you. I really just wanted to test out the clarity, the sharpness, push the shadows, push the highlights, see what this telecamera on the Mavic 3 is actually capable of after all of the updates. So hopefully you guys learned something. Hopefully you liked this video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you in the next one.